Once upon a time in the 1500s, a luthier called Kachikawawa was making a violin for the orchestras that perform for the king Linglinguini. Now, Linglinguini was a very pleasant king and loved music, but one day he wanted more bass in the music, so Kachikawawa made an instrument called the double bass. The king was pleasantly impressed. Now 12 months later, the king suggested to Kachikawawa to make an instrument that was slightly in between. Kachikawawa agreed and then continued on to create this fantastic instrument to what we know today as a cello. Wow, the king said, this is fantastic. Now the orchestra has excellent balance. Now of course, Kachikawawa continued making violins, cellos and basses until one day, Kachikawawa accidentally messed up one of his creations. The carved out wood was too big for the violin and too little for the cello. He quickly notified the king and discussed what to do with his failed creation. The king said they cannot look after this one and no one must find out. They must try to hide this from the public. But the only problem was it was too big to fit in the violin case and too small for the cello case. But little did they know, Ling Ling was peeping through the window and overheard the conversation. Of course, Ling Ling had to spread the news across the kingdom, and there was an uproar for justice that this newborn creation cannot be disowned. The people in the kingdom wanted justice and wanted equality. So a vote happened, and of course the majority voted yes to see the new creation. Everyone demanded to know the identity of this newborn creation. The king said he has no choice, but he has to announce that the creation must live on. But Kachikawawa disagreed on the king's idea. So Kachikawawa decided to make a statement. Unfortunately, Kachikawawa was turned down. So King Linglinguini had to make an announcement and told everyone that this instrument is called the viola. People started shouting, "Viola King! Viola King!" The viola was introduced into the string family, but a few months later, people were wondering why they felt a weird tingle and a fever spread across the kingdom. People started to get sick, and they realized a terrible plague hit the kingdom. The king and Kachikawawa didn't know what to do. They were stressed, but they knew that it was the frequency of this viola that made everyone sick. As the plague was terrorizing the kingdom, a Stringtopian god appeared and whispered to the king,
"You have one solution. My name is Sneasel. The only way to fix the problem is to make a sacrifice with a viola and a viola."
King Linglinguini had no choice, and thus the king passed away, but the spirit of the viola king resides inside the helmet. Respect viola. Respect viola.